the very first thing you'll probably see if you type in investing tips for beginners into Google or any social media like TikTok, for example, will be something about ETFs.
These are the 3 ETFs that I invest in as a financially responsible 24-year-old with a 6-figure net worth.
If I have $1,000 to start with, I'm going to put my first $333 into SPY, which is the ETF that tracks the S&P 500.
These 3 ETFs have dramatically outperformed the S&P 500 over the past 15 years.
ETF, because it's easy to buy and sell. They offer you access to more. It's easy to automate and can diversify your portfolio and reduce risk.
Okay, so apparently ETFs are great. They're the way to go. So what do I do now? Let's get one of those ETFs. But
what the hell is even that?
So what I can tell from here is that an exchange traded fund is basically just a basket or combination of different stocks and assets that will track the performance of those said assets in the basket. Instead of picking individual stocks or other assets, you just buy the basket and then get a share of everything included in that basket. The greatest thing and the biggest advantage of an ETF for beginners is that you don't need any prior knowledge. You don't have to understand accounting or finance. You don't have to be able to read a financial statement. Heck, you don't even need to know really anything about the stock that you're buying because you're not individually picking one. You don't need to know about the management, the product, how is the company doing on the market, macroeconomic events, or anything like that. You just buy the entire basket of different companies in different sectors. So if one goes bust or goes down, the other will balance it out. So how do I find one of these ETFs? Either you go onto independent websites, and there are dozens of them, or you check with your own broker or bank. Here are 4 of the websites that I use to search and screen for ETFs. Just ETF is probably one of my favorite websites. It's very clean and easy to understand. All the tools you need, you can filter on the left side. You can search for the ticker up here if you already have one in mind, or just search for the industry that you're looking for. And then you just compare. There's also some instructions down here. Another good one is ETF.com. Same principle. You have the list right here. It's even cleaner and easier to understand than just ETF, but a little bit less information in my opinion. And then, like always, you have the screener, the filters on the left, and you can just search up here. And there's also some other tools like news and blogs up here. One of the websites I used a lot a couple of years ago, but I haven't since, is Seeking Alpha. I always saw Seeking Alpha as like the Reddit for finance. It is community-based, and you can, browse through multiple different blogs and comments from people talking about the ETFs that they find interesting. So I think if you're doing an extensive research and you don't just want to put all your resources into one ETF and then be done with it, but you do want to learn a little bit more about it and maybe have a little bit more specific niche or industry that you want to invest in through ETFs, then I think Seeking Alpha is really good, is a really good resource to check out. After some research and looking for some ETFs that I would find interesting, because that's the whole purpose of this video, me actually investing my own money into an ETF to show you what it's like. I'm not 100% sure yet. I do want to split it across, I think, 3 ETFs. I have 2 in mind, but with the third one, I'm not sure yet. I would want some more advice before I pick my third ETF. But sadly, all my real-life friends are entirely useless when it comes to this topic. Luckily, however, and no, this is nothing sponsored, don't worry, we can ask AI nowadays. So that's what I wanted to do. Hi, always be polite. You never know. I need your advice. I'm looking to invest in ETFs. Please give me 5 examples. Let's say recommendations. Leave out the obvious and most recommended ETFs like the MSCI World or the S&P 500. I'm looking for a unique, less known ETF with a high upside. A winner. Please give explanations as to why you picked those stocks, or those ETFs. There you go. I think that's fine. Let's see what it does. Let's see what we get, what kind of result. And whatever ChatGPT recommends, we'll invest our 30 euros in. Okay, I'm checking current, that Fiddler's satellite, 3rd position. What the hell does satellite mean? Does anyone know? Okay, if you know what satellite 3rd position means, then let me know in the comments. I'll focus on funds with a clear upside case, but also real concentration risk. Fair enough. One each of, okay, AI infrastructure. Of course, AI would recommend investing in AI. That makes sense. Fractional share broker or savings plan. Well, we'll see if Trade Republic will actually do that. That's going to be another issue, but that, one problem at a time. So these are the 5 best candidates that ChatGPT comes up with. AI infrastructure, very interesting. I like that. I mean, it makes sense. It is booming right now, although I am a little bit afraid that it might be a bubble like the 2000 and what was it, 1 internet bubble. So we'll see, but it is interesting. Okay, Wisdom Tree India earnings. I don't know too much about the Indian economy, so rise cybersecurity and data privacy, which is, I think, going to be a very important sector in the next foreseeable future. Okay, best mix of upside and logic. This is the ranking from ChatGPT. And honestly, I just think it's funny that the AI suggests that the best thing to do is invest into an AI infrastructure. So I think I'm just going to do that. You know, let's ally ourselves with the AI. So far, so good. The theory part is done. Now to the application. We learned what an ETF is, how to research them, screen for them, and find the ETFs that, you know, we want to buy. Where do you actually buy these ETFs? Well, it's kind of like buying a product through Amazon. You basically have to go to an online market. One of the first things you can do is go to your local bank where you also have your, bank account, your money, and ask if they are offering security accounts, or in German, I think it's called Depot. I don't know if that's the English term for it as well. But basically, if they offer to buy or sell stocks or ETFs as well. Usually that's not the best idea or the smartest thing to do though, because these banks will have a higher cost. Or, and this is what I did, I went to a broker. A stockbroker is pretty much a person or company authorized to buy and sell stocks on your behalf. Because if you want to buy stocks and ETFs, then you'll almost always need a broker. You can't just individually go somewhere and buy a stock. There's always a middle person, a intermediary. And this middleman will then place the order on your behalf and execute the buying and the selling. I personally chose Trade Republic. I don't have an account there yet, but I have heard from friends that they have experience with this broker and that they are satisfied so far. I wanted to give it a go, and it's the perfect chance for me to also show you guys the process. I did deposit the 100 euros a couple days ago and they arrived. Everything is fine. Everything worked out just the way I wanted it to. I've never used Trade Republic, so this is very new to me as well. But I'm guessing we just, type in the ticker that we want and then go for a buy order, I guess. So let's do it. Let's check it out. All right, let's start with the MSCI World. So we have 3 different ones. So accumulated just means that it gets reinvested, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong here. And then we have the iShares. So this is large and mid caps, and this is small caps included. Okay, we want only the large and the mid cap. So we have 100 euros available. That worked perfectly. And let's get 35 euros worth. And you can get fractional shares on Trade Republic. So that's great. We don't have to buy like 110 worth of one share. So we can buy fractional shares. That's awesome. All right, let's review the order. Terms and conditions. All right, let's just do it. I am buying 35 euros worth of the iShare Core MSCI World USD. Buy now, order placed. Done. Cool. That's the first ETF I've ever bought. That's the first money I invested in an ETF ever. It's that easy. It's literally that easy. Next up, S&P 500. All right, let's go for the Vanguard S&P 500 right here. I will type in 35 again, review the order, buy now, and again, it's that simple. It is actually that simple. So now we have 2 ETFs. We have the S&P 500 tracking, and we have the MSCI World. I don't know why I just showed 4. Whatever. Okay, last one. We had the iShare AI infrastructure recommended by ChatGPT itself. All we have to do is then, I guess, like the tag you can put in. So I just copied this, put it into Trade Republic, and voila, here's the AI infrastructure USD accumulative ETF. I know nothing about this, so we're just doing whatever ChatGPT says. Probably not the best investment advice, to be honest, but it's an experiment, so we'll see how it goes. I do want to see a little bit though. Okay, we're also in a high here, and it's information technology sector. 88% is crazy. That's nuts. And we have Intel, IBM, AMD, the classics. Okay, cool. Let's do it. So 25 euros, order placed, done. So this is the portfolio so far. As you can see, these are our investments, the MSCI World, the S&P 500, and then the AI infrastructure. Our whole portfolio is worth 94 euros at the moment, or well, 95 basically. And yeah, I mean, the hope is, or the goal is to add a couple of zeros behind here at the end, right? The whole idea of this YouTube channel is to try and get 100K. I now own 3 ETFs worth of roughly 100 euros on Trade Republic. It's not much, but it's a start. And I think, or I hope it showed how simple it actually can be. I think the hardest part and the hardest steps of this entire process of investing into ETFs or in general investing is just getting started. like losing the fear of it being difficult, risky, or scary. But that's why I think it's very important to just start with a very low amount, an amount you are comfortable with losing theoretically, even though the chances that you'll lose money, like actually lose money in an ETF like the MSCI World or something big like the S&P 500 are very, very, very low, especially if you have a long time horizon to invest in. Some quick tips that I do want to mention that I came across when I was reading and researching this whole topic, because again, I'm also fairly new, definitely no expert. And like I said before, this is not financial advice. This is just me sharing my experience and what I'm learning. And a couple of things that I did want to share. Expense ratios are important, right? How much the ETF costs to manage and how much money you have to pay. So any transaction fees, any costs related to your investment. But then also, if you do spread your resources, so your money across different ETFs, make sure that you look into the basket of the ETF and see exactly what kind of companies are listed and how much each company represents as a portion of that entire portfolio. Because it's easy to pick some of the bigger ETFs out there, some of the most common and popular recommendations from a lot of YouTubers and successful investors and other content creators. And they have a lot of overlapping companies or stocks within those baskets, within those ETFs. Most of them do include some of the biggest companies from the United States. So Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, all these companies. And they usually are a significant portion of that portfolio in an ETF. So if you have 3 or 4 ETFs, you might think you're diversified and you have different, regions, but then those 4 or 5 big companies are always a big part of those ETFs. Then the point of diversification is a little bit lost again. So just make sure that you are aware of what you're actually investing in, at least on the superficial level. I really hope I could shed some light on what it's like to invest in an ETF, the entire process, what it is, and hopefully take some fear away from you and encourage you to start as well.